Hello to this month's installation of Hector's highlights for the month of November. I'm 2 weeks late because I had to move apartments and that was kind of stressful, but here we are. Let's get right into it, talking about literature. Last month I got tired of reading philosophy books, so I read something more story-driven, and that was Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom. This book is a young adult mystery fantasy book and is the first installment in a trilogy of books. I grew up reading fantasy, so I like this, or this was to my liking in general. It was like a mixed media thing because this book has pictures in it that tie into the story. The book is about a boy named Jacob whose grandpa dies, and everybody thinks that the grandpa is crazy, talking about these mystical creatures that attacked him and that he has to protect the boys and girls that he lived with in an orphanage back during World War II. And Jacob realizes that these kids are still alive miraculously and that they are peculiar and have like superpowers. The superpowers were interesting because it wasn't like your typical I can fly and stuff. You have that as well. You have people that can like firebend and people that can fly but like mostly float and not really control it, super strong people, but they're kids stuck in a time loop, so they stay young forever. So it's a story about aging as well, and time is a big thing and time travel comes into it, and that's why I want to read the second and third installment as well, because I feel like these powers and this world in combination with the whole time travel thing could be an interesting aspect. After finishing that, I started reading the continuation of a series that I started when I was a young teenager, Skulduggery Pleasant. It has like 14, 15 books now, and I'm reading book 11 or 12, but because it's so story driven and because I know all the characters and I'm kind of used to reading this style, I'll be done with this pretty quickly and then move on to reading more philosophy or something more that I can learn something from. Let's continue on to movies and series. I started watching Fullmetal Alchemist, which is an anime about two brothers who practice alchemy. It's kind of like magic and science turned into one. It's a kind of magic that is based on the old science of alchemy, where you try to put in substances on one hand and get something equal on the other side by combining them. The big thing for alchemists was back in the day, during the Middle Ages, to synthesize the Sorcerer's Stone, which you might know from Harry Potter, which would grant you unlimited life or unlimited health. But in this world of Fullmetal Alchemist, it just grants you to do high-level alchemy that goes against the natural rules that are set into this world. This is my third time starting it. I started it 2 times before, but like started in the middle because I didn't find a stream. But now I'm watching it from the beginning, and I like the whole magic system and the dynamic between the characters, the whole world with this army-centric state expanding into the different parts of the world, and the brothers kind of helping but kind of only taking a piggyback ride so they can get to the Sorcerer's Stone. The fights are very interesting. What I also liked is that the villains are never only on a black or white scale, so they're never just like, okay, he's a bad guy, so he's bad, and this guy is a good guy, so he's good. The bad guys usually have some kind of trauma that makes them act the way they act. Of course, with episodes that only go 20 minutes, you can only have so much character development, but usually it makes it more interesting finding out or learning that the villain or the bad person actually has some kind of reasoning for acting the way they act. Apart from that, I've been watching a lot of shitty movies because I've been cleaning out my room and I had a lot of DVDs lying around. The only thing that kind of stood out was Jumper, which is a movie about Teleportation, starring Hayden Christensen, who you might know from Star Wars, or Samuel L. Jackson, which you know from Snakes on a Plane. And the movie just kind of fell flat because to me teleportation is like my go-to superpower, or like the superpower that I'd like to have. But the movie was not really using this power to its whole extent or in an interesting way. There was like a weird romance thing driving the whole movie, which like made it very boring to me. But if you're into like superpowers, interesting superpowers or teleportation, this movie, like the action scenes, have some interesting scenes for you. Last but not least, let's get into music. I have 3 songs and 1 album as always that I like to recommend to you. The first song is Drifting by Night Tapes, which is a cute dance pop song, which is very romantic, but the lyrics are about how romanticism must die and how we have to arrive in reality or escape reality by daydreaming. This song just made me bob my head and made me move, and that's the reason why I like it and why I recommend it to you. The second song is Sailor Moon by Miller, which is an trap song with an ethereal sample beat. The main thing this song has going for it is the drop into the hook and like the beat drop into the hook and the line "she looked like Sailor Moon," very anime inspired. And that's the only thing it got going for it, but it caught my attention and it's good enough for me, and having it on in the background is kind of soothing and hyping at the same time, kind of like drifting. So I put these together into this recommendation because they kind of scratch the same itch for me. And the third song I'd like to recommend to you is Either On or Off the Drugs by JPEGMAFIA. This introspective rap song is on the second half of his most recent album, I Lay Down My Life For You. This song is introspective and has reflections on it about fame, about addiction, about substance abuse, creativity in the mainstream, and the fear of being weak all your life, or imposter syndrome. At first, this song didn't resonate with me when I listened to the album a bunch, but this autumn I had a moment where this song played in my headphones and then it kind of connected with me. It was just the right song at the right time. The album I'd like to recommend to you is X by Ed Sheeran from the year 2014. The deluxe version has 16 songs on it and a runtime of 1 hour and 5 minutes. This was kind of Ed's breakout album. It has production on it from Rick Rubin, Benny Blanco and Pharrell Williams. The most recent albums of his I don't really like, but this album to me has a nostalgic value because it was released in 2014 and it was one of the first albums I got on CD. I was 13 around that time. I started playing guitar around that time, and his songs were at a level where I could try and play them myself. So kind of my skill level, and I got into rap at that time as well. He has a rap influence, or at least likes rap, and in this album it was evident on songs like Take It Back, where he really just goes at it and is like, I can rap, trust me. And just him going hard was touching for me at that moment. Of course, this album aged, and you can kind of hear that it's like a pop album trying to break out in 2014. I mean, you have hit makers like Benny Blanco on it, so they are going to try and hit the nerve of the times. But a lot of songs still stand up for me, at least nowadays, like Nina or Take It Back, just like I said. This album may not be for everyone, and some people may say that that's too pop heavy for them, but that's okay. I just explained that it kind of has nostalgic value to me. So thanks again for tuning in and letting me be 2 weeks late. Stay strong, only 1 more to go, and then we have a little party because we have 1 year of Hector's highlights. So tune in the next time. See ya, leave a like and leave recommendations.